Hello, cinephiles, and welcome to Silver Screen Sips, a podcast where two idiots talk about movies. And today is our first episode of season 10. Woo. We are here with our very special guest, filmmaker and YouTuber Patrick Tomasso. How are you doing?
I am excellent. It's a nice, beautiful, sunny afternoon in Toronto. Actually, evening now, I guess. But yeah, no, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
What's the time difference?
It's 7. I think we're all EST. No, are we all Eastern time zone? Yeah, we're the same.
Easy. That's good.
Easy. Yeah.
Yeah. One of our guests was a 3 hours difference, and they were like, "Oh, can we record at 7 p.m. our time?" I was like, "That's like 10 p.m. my time. That's bedtime for me."
That's bedtime for me too.
Yeah. But yes, this is Patrick. And today we're going to be also discussing the 1986 Karate Kid film, not the Jackie Chan one, not yet at least. So just a reminder that there are spoilers ahead for movies and TV shows that you may not have seen yet. So just know you've been warned. Now, before we begin, Patrick, we want to kind of just do like a short little interview to kind of get to know you so that our listeners know who the fuck you are. And they're not just like, who's this random guy? So can you kind of tell everyone what exactly it is that you do?
Yeah. I mean, on the internet, I'm sort of a professional uploader. So I do things on YouTube where I do film essays and, I kind of break down movies and TV shows from mostly from like the production standpoint of like cinematography or how things are made essentially. And then I also do some reviews here and there. So when I don't have a really good idea for a video essay, I kind of just pepper in a review when I can just to get a video up. That wasn't my whole journey. Like I kind of started off doing more like camera reviews and gear. So if you were someone who's looking to shop for a camera, you may have come across one of my videos before. And I kind of just had a thought over the last year or so that I was like, I kind of want to stop making videos for people that want to make movies. And I want to make videos for people that just watch movies. And I've found a lot more success that way. And I'm still teaching people, I think, to an extent of like how things are made and whatnot. But I kind of want to just reach a broader audience. And me personally, I just love talking about movies and TV shows. So I was kind of tired of talking about cameras. But yeah, and then in my real job, quote, I'm doing air quotes. I shoot like commercial content for brands. So I work with Subaru, I work with big banks and stuff. I do photo and video in the commercial space. And then I also do short films and documentary stuff in my spare time. So yeah, nice. just always uploading stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I also work in the commercial kind of production field. So
nice. Awesome.
I get what I understand what you do. I think I mean, you probably do a little more than I do, but hey.
We're all doing something. We're doing something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been a subscriber for, I don't even know how long. And so I'm just glad we could finally make this happen because I know we've been kind of having to reschedule a lot. So I'm glad we actually can finally do it. But I know Isaiah had a question as well. If you want to go ahead and shoot that out.
Yeah. I think we touched on it obviously a little bit before we started recording with the cameras and stuff like that. But like obviously since you did a lot of content with cameras and stuff like that, I just want to get.
Oh, what just happened?
Not sure what that was.
Oh, look at that. Welcome back. Great.
There you go.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what I was saying is that before we so rudely interrupted, yeah. As you talked about like cameras and when you do your shooting with commercials and all that kind of stuff. I was wondering, what is your favorite cameras, lenses, or anything specific that you like to use that is like your go-to thing of like, oh, I need to get this done. This is the most trustworthy thing I can use right now.
Yeah. I think right now there's a couple cameras. One that I bought and one that was just recently given to me on loan to review. And the one that I bought is the Sony FX30. I feel like there's like not many other cameras that can have a value proposition like this camera. It's just like a wonderful little Super 35 camera, mirrorless in a somewhat cinema style body. It has every bell and whistle, amazing autofocus. I actually really like that it's Super 35 too, because there's way more lenses available for Super 35 than full frame. And on top of that, it's like a mini FX3 and everyone's like losing their shit on the FX3. Like everyone loves that camera. And then you can grab this one for like $1,700 versus like $4,000 for an FX3, which I think is way overpriced for what that camera is capable of.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like a workhorse camera. It's never going to overheat. Like I said, you get all that lens options from like the years, like 80 years of Super 35 lenses since film that exists for that format. And I just think it's been fantastic for me. And then recently, the Lumix S5 Mark II came out. And so I was a Lumix shooter for a long time. I was like GH4, GH5 for a long time. And I kind of fell off with them because their autofocus was so garbage. And then around the new year, they dropped that S5 Mark II. And I got to go to Japan and like for the launch and everything. And it was crazy. And I was like very skeptical of it because I had switched everything over to Sony. And I was just like, I can't go back to like bad autofocus because especially if you film a lot yourself, like I do now with YouTube, like I just need like critical autofocus. But this new S5 Mark II, it's got phase detect, which was always their biggest crutch before. They were just like relying on this contrast system, but like they always did everything else better, shutter angle and like, you know, open gate recording and anamorphic modes and the best internal image body stabilization on the market. Like they had everything but autofocus. And I'm telling you, like I have videos up on my second channel about this camera. And it's like, it does everything that we've been sort of been waiting for. Yeah. And so now the only thing I'm like kind of hesitant with is I just still feel like the autofocus isn't quite as good as what I'm used to with Sony. But for me as like a personal shooter, when I use it, it's become my YouTube camera. So if you've watched one of my YouTube videos for the last like month or two, they've all been shot on the S5 Mark II. And I think the image quality is fantastic. It's just still a little bit new. It's like early days because I feel like they've just done this new autofocus system. So I'm actually more curious about what the next Lumix camera is. But this is a $2,000 camera that does everything that the FX3 does and more, and does it a lot better as well. So I think there's like a go-to camera. If I was recommending two of them, it's the FX30 if you're already in the Sony ecosystem. And if you're looking for a brand new thing to get into, like as a filmmaker, YouTuber, creator, whatever you do, please consider the S5 Mark II, because I think these are like really, really underrated cameras right now. And they're just going to keep getting better and better.
You're not sponsored by them, are you?
I'm not. No. I have to say that. I have to say that in all my videos. That's the thing. It's like everyone's like, "Oh, you're a Lumix show." It's like, don't you know that like everything I use is Sony? Like every job I shoot is Sony. So I don't know what these people are talking about.
Yeah, like your short film was the Sony.
It was the A7 IV. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I go back in time, I'd probably want to shoot if the S5 II was out then, I would have shot it on the S5 II for sure. Like I'll say, like my A7 IV has been collecting dust ever since this S5 Mark II got in my hands. So I think that says something for sure.
So do you have like just a big wall, a big shelf just filled with cameras?
Yeah, and that's like another reason, like to go back to why I wanted to stop talking about gear is just like everything is so
and here
damn.
We are. What's your favorite camera?
Yeah. The overarching thing, like my ethos, like lately has been like, you know, everything is just so damn good now. So like I can say, yeah, the FX30 is amazing. You know, I don't like the A7 IV or whatever, but it doesn't matter what you grab now. Like if you buy a camera that was made in the last 5, even 6 years. If you can't make the thing you want to make with those cameras, it's not the camera. I'm sorry. It's you. So you need to learn things instead of buying things. Right. So like I got caught in the hype of it all. And I feel like the whole scene is, and especially in the gear review space, is all about you got to buy shit to get better. And I started to feel like really disingenuous about that because it's not what I stand for. Because I feel like you can get better with like really cheap gear and all this stuff. Like I started on like a Canon T2i, like way back in the day. Right. And there's no reason why I couldn't still pick up that camera today with all these new skills that I have since then and make something incredible with it. And so it's really never been about the camera, but we like to just rely on that because we don't want to face ourselves of like what we're actually capable of making. And so that's why I feel like I don't like fully recommending cameras, but at the same time, like it's a really exciting time because things are really, really good. So you can buy things now that are under $2,000 that, you know, rival Red cameras and Aris and stuff that like a mainstream audience member could probably never tell the damn difference between. So like, that's like amazing, right?
Wild.
For sure.
Well, let me ask a question that's not camera related so we can get into your
yeah, for sure.
You're trying to get away. The algorithm loves you. I just had a real quick question about you because you did a video on like obviously video game adaptions.
Yeah.
So and just we all kind of agree that like out of everything that's came out, like because like you know the Halo TV show came out, it was dog shit, and then but you have like The Last of Us, and you did discuss why, and you know there's like different types of adaptations of certain things. What is something that you I don't know if you've read a book somewhere like out there, or there's a TV show or a video game specifically, if we want to go that route, that you would like to see adapted, and do you think could actually be done in the same vein as The Last of Us, like with that same kind of quality?
Yeah. Can I say that I want Uncharted to take another stab? Like I want to see someone to do Uncharted again properly now with the hindsight that they have of what happened with that HBO show. Cause I really think that the Mark Wahlberg fucking movie was atrocious. And I would say that like in between the two games, like of Naughty Dog, like I've always actually liked Uncharted even more than Last of Us. And so I was like really disappointed to see the movie because I just feel like, you know, the Uncharted series is my favorite, you know, series of games of all time. And I'm not a huge video game player either. So it was like for me to get into something, it had to be like a really good cinematic storyline and whatnot. And so to see what they did with the movie, I was just like, what a miss, right? Like it totally didn't capture anything that I loved about the game. And so I don't know if the answer is it has to be a show. I don't even think like I know I said in my video that like I think a lot of the reasons why Last of Us worked so well is because it's a show. But I still think you can get the ethos of like a narrative and the characters right and the casting right to do that game properly. And I feel like maybe they'll course correct in a sequel. Who knows if they get a better director or another writer or something like that to see what happened. The problem is that movie did so well. And, for the most part, it seemed like a lot of people did actually kind of like it. I just think if you compare it to what happened with The Last of Us, it's pretty night and day. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but like, I think that Last of Us is its own league and it has its own flaws. And since I made that video and towards the finale of it, I don't have the full same feeling I had when I first made that video. I feel like they kind of missed the boat on certain things as it got to the end. But as an overall thing, I think it's one of the best video game adaptations. So I think Naughty Dog has really good storylines and characters and narratives that I would really like to see Uncharted, course correct back to something that's closer to the game like Last of Us did.
I agree. I liked Uncharted if you just don't think about it as
as a video game.
Yeah. Like if you don't think about it if you don't think about the source material and you just came in thinking, oh, I'm gonna watch this weird ass movie with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, and it's gonna be a fun action adventure movie, you can kind of get away with it of being like, oh, that was pretty good. I'm not gonna remember it in like 5 years, but it is pretty good.
Yeah, that is something I'm thinking about more as we like go into Fast 10, like into Fast X comes out on, I think it's actually supposed to be called Fast 10. But yeah, Fast 10 comes out on like Thursday and Friday, right? And I'm kind of going into it thinking like, I'm cynical about that series so much because I loved the first couple. So like, because they were just like so part of like my upbringing, being a kid, like a teenager and shit. I was just like, I loved those movies when I was younger. And so I got like, it's just like totally missed the boat the last like 4 or 5 of them. Right. But I'm kind of going into it like, what if I just go in pretending I really like this kind of thing? You know what I mean? Like, what if I just go in with the expectation that I don't want what it was like when Paul Walker was around? You know what I mean? Like, what if I just go in and just be like, this is a popcorn movie. I'm going to shut my brain off. And I want this crazy Jason Momoa movie that makes absolutely no sense. Physics don't matter. I'm going to go in completely like dark on it and not have this like preconceived notion that I've had with probably every single one since, I don't know, maybe Fast 5 was maybe the last half decent one. And so I kind of go into that with this idea of like turning your brain off. But then I had this argument in my John Wick video where I'm like, I don't want to be one of those people that just has to shut my brain off to enjoy a movie, because we see so many examples of really good stories and really good movies that have come out that make you think and whatnot. So I'm still torn on it. And that's my problem with Uncharted. Cause like, I understand that argument where it's like, yeah, you can go in and it's just like a fun popcorn movie, but like, there's part of it that's like, I don't even know if I love that. Right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's complicated. Cause I get what you're saying. Cause it's not a terrible movie by any means. Like, it's well made and it's got a story and like, they're obviously competent actors, but yeah, the turned off brain thing is like something I've been wrestling with for the last little while recently. Ever since John Wick, the new John Wick, I was like, is this something I want to do? I don't know if I can do this anymore. Oh,
looks Beth's internet just died.
Oh shoot.
Oh, hello, Beth.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. Oh, I'm gonna have to do it from my phone because my internet's just not turning back on. So I hope I don't sound too shitty.
No, the audio quality is great.
Yeah, it's actually not that bad.
Well, damn, maybe I'll just do it like this from now on.
Yeah.
I can do it my couch here and stuff.
Perfect.
Sorry with all these issues. It's usually
yeah, no worries.
Smooth sailing.
Yeah, it's always when you want it to be smooth sailing, that's when it's not. That's why we jinxed it.
I had actually one more question I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, go for it.
If you don't mind. It's we're back on photography, so sorry, but it's a little different. No, it's a little
yeah.
It's a little less about the specs. So obviously I follow you on Instagram and everything. So I've looked at a lot of like your photography and a lot of your work, like on your website too, which seems to kind of heavily lean on like street photography and more like candid. Would you say that's like your favorite type of photography, or do you have like a different kind of subject you prefer to shoot?
I've never been into portraits, so I feel like my version of like showing my perspective is, yeah, I guess it's more street landscape, cars and stuff like that. Like the things that I sort of see on my just living, I guess, as I'm going around. And to be honest, like my favorite camera is my phone, because like I would say 98%, if not even higher, of all my like street photography and stuff that I post is mostly with my iPhone, because I just feel like it's the one that's always with me. I don't really go on like, photo shoots. Like I don't go on like a photo walk with like a legit camera very often. I used to when I was a bit younger, but these days it's like whatever I spot something, it's like at least I have like a good, camera in my pocket and I can sort of snag that stuff. And I've got my process for editing things and whatnot. But yeah, like, cause I'm not really into portraits and stuff. I feel like, yeah, street photography is probably my most favorite, just sort of like seeing the mundane things and like finding kind of cool moments here and there as I kind of walk around and do stuff. Cause I feel like you just sort of stumble upon those photos, which is kind of fun. Cause I kind of feel like I'm always looking for it, but at the same time, it's a bit passive. Like it's on the back of my mind as I'm out. If I'm looking something like, okay, that'll make a cool photo and I'll grab it and maybe I'll never post it. Maybe I will. But the phone has really opened that up for me. And I don't think I would have that sort of like spontaneity in what I shoot if I was like deliberately going out with an actual camera and like trying to like make it worth the reason I brought that big camera, right? Cause then it just adds a lot of pressure to your sort of session, if you want to call it that. Whereas I find with the phone, the image quality is amazing, especially with the new ones, like 48 megapixel raw files are coming out of this thing. Like it's wild. And in good light or even low light, it still does a great job. And yeah, for me, it's like, I've always been into iPhone, like ever since it came out. Like I don't think I would actually be doing anything that I do now if it wasn't for the iPhone. Cause as soon as I started to be able to take pictures and videos with that stuff, like I was like, oh, okay, this is something I'm really into. So I guess to this day, like I'm just still glued to that camera. It never really fails me. And I think that's why I mostly do like street stuff. Yeah.
Is all the stuff I've been seeing on your Instagram then, it's not iPhone, right? That's like camera.
If it's video, it's most likely a real camera. If it's photos, it's highly likely it's my iPhone. Yeah.
What? Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Mind blown.
Yeah. Okay.
And like, obviously for clients, for clients, I'm not using my phone. Like we do some phone work for clients here and there, but like, yeah, no, like if you go on my website, like that's all like real camera stuff. But no, for my personal work, like it's mostly iPhone. Yeah. That'd be wild. Yeah.
Can you imagine just being like, all right, here's $10,000. Make me a nice commercial shoot. All right.
Totally. Yeah. No, nothing yet.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was wondering because I've also kind of started leaning towards, I've been, have had my eyes on the X100V for a long time, except the only issue is the price really.
Yeah.
But I just like it because of the simplicity of it and just being able to like, cause I want to kind of get into that kind of like not street photography, but just taking photos of anything I see. Cause it's kind of what I do now, but I just want that kind of like film emulation without having to spend the money on actual film. So I had to ask if like that's what you prefer and stuff, but okay. Interesting.
No, I will say that like the X100 is because I shot film for a little bit and I was like, this is a complete waste of money. Because everything now emulates it so well that you can get the experience of shooting film with these cameras now. And like, actually like one of my favorite cameras I've been playing with just on the side as like a hobby thing is like, I bought a really old Leica X1, which just came out right when the X100 came out. And it's kind of like the black sheep of the lineup, but not a lot of people know, but it's like a 12 megapixel APS-C fixed lens camera that Leica came out with, and now you can get them for like $800-900, and it looks like a Leica. Like everyone looks at it like, holy shit, you spent $5,000 on a Leica, and like, no, I bought it used for like $800. And like that to me is like brings that analog feeling because it's so old that it's like 10, 11 years old, that it's slow, like it's insanely slow to use, that it really feels like you're shooting film because it's like such a pain in the ass to shoot with it. But it kind of like slows you down and you're a bit more intentional with it. Like I had it with me in New York recently and I was just like, I had to be very selective with like what I was using and what I was shooting with it, that like I didn't sort of like what you call like spray and pray with like what I do with my iPhone. I was like, I'll just grab that. If I use it, I don't, it doesn't really matter. Whereas with that camera, and I think with the X100s even to today, you're a lot more intentional with a camera like that. So there's pros and cons to both. Like for me, I can get kind of bored with that intentionality too, where I'm like, I don't want to carry this camera around with me because it's like one more thing I'm hanging on to. But there is like a big benefit to what you're saying where it's like, yeah, the image quality is going to be amazing. You don't really have to edit those files. The JPEGs look amazing. And it feels like you're shooting film because it has that analog feel to the body. Right. So yeah, I do like those like sort of niche cameras for that reason. Definitely.
For sure.
So I'm not sure if you've heard this part before, but basically we have a segment where we say some headlines that have come out this week. And so that everybody can be up to date on some crazy things that might have happened. And then you can jump in anytime if you want to like give your opinion or something.
Okay, cool.
All right. So first headline: Jamie Foxx is officially out of the hospital following a medical complication that occurred back in April. He's been out for a few weeks now, according to his daughter, who shared a post on May 12th, stating that her father's condition is unknown. We do not know what the medical complications are at the moment. They didn't explain it. I think it was like some type of heart issue.
Yeah.
But we're glad to hear that Fox is back and playing kickball, according to his pickleball. He's playing pickleball. Which
fastest growing sport in America.
apparently so.
Apparently, according to shrinking, that's if you want to go back to therapists. I learned that in shrinking, that pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America. And then I looked it up, and that's a true fact. So there you go.
I literally never heard of it. And then Beth was like, oh my God, it's so huge. It's been huge for like 7 years. I was like, I didn't hear it until you told me the words.
Totally. I didn't know about it until shrinking. And then I was like, I got to look up this sport. And I still don't actually think I understand what it is. But I'm intrigued by it. I'm intrigued by it enough that I actually talked to my girlfriend. I was like, should we try pickleball? Without even knowing what the hell we're getting into. But I'm glad to know Jimmy Fox is into it and he's better. Because I remember there was like so many wild conspiracy theories going around on Twitter and stuff that like his condition was worse. And they were like downplaying it. Just the same bullshit that always happens with like a celebrity who's unfortunately like in a bad health state. And I was like, oh, I don't know what to believe, so I'm going to stay away from it. So it's good to hear that he's back. I think he was actually on set when whatever happened. So yeah, maybe whatever he's doing, he's getting back to production.
Yeah. So that movie, I believe, paused production at the moment. So obviously, because he's like the main person of the movie.
Oh shoot, yeah.
All right, so the new Guardians of the Galaxy has been out for some time now, and it is killing it in the box office, already passing 500 million, which is surpassing Quantum. Marvel has been needing this for quite some time now, and it has officially become the second highest film of the year. But we are curious to see if it will reach the 1 billion mark, but who's to say? Because I feel like that kick is already over, that first wave. So I don't really see them making another 500 million from here. But I mean, I haven't seen it yet. So there's like $10 right there.
Yeah, it feels like I feel like these days it's gonna be on streaming next week. So it's like, who knows, right?
Yeah, I mean, Mario's already coming to streaming now. I saw that it's gonna be on demand or whatever. I was like, that was quick. I feel like that was just came out, but oh well.
Where is the 9-hour cut of Avatar 2 on Disney Plus? That's what I'm curious about. Where is it?
Yeah, I need that ASAP.
I want to spend an entire shift of work, but at home watching Avatar.
Yeah.
Now, for our next headline, famous actor Michael J. Fox stated that watching Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood inspired him to retire from acting for good. The actor stated there's a scene where Leonardo DiCaprio's character can't remember his lines anymore. He goes back to his dressing room and he is screaming to himself in the mirror. Just freaking insane. Fox continued, I had this moment where I was looking in the mirror and thought, I cannot remember my lines anymore. Well, let's move on. That's one way to put it.
Absolutely. I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood too. That's like one of my favorite Quentin Tarantino movies. That's another vibes movie. That's a vibes movie. That's a movie where it's like totally a vibe movie. I'm just like hanging out. Like I want like a 90-minute cut that's just Brad Pitt driving around LA in his little coupe. Like that's like, that to me is like extremely my shit, where I'm just want to like hang out with these guys. And I don't really care what the story is. It's just like, I want to see them, eating TV dinners, watching FBI. Like that's my shit.
Just them existing.
Exactly, yeah. But also there's a new Michael J. Fox documentary out that I've been meaning to watch. I think it's on Apple TV. But it's apparently really good. Yeah, I saw some people tweeting about it recently.
We see. Still? I believe it's called, it's on Apple TV. It's called Still.
Yeah, nice.
Next up, actress Elle Fanning revealed that she lost a major franchise role due to her small Instagram following. However, she did not reveal the franchise that she auditioned for. Now, Fanning has over 7 million followers on Instagram currently, which is more than I will ever have. So I'm kind of surprised that they were like, you don't have people. I feel like that's a good thing, because it's like, that's a good way to become more popular. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I feel like that was definitely like a YA movie, like a young adult movie, like some Hunger Games thing or something like that, where they're like really keen on like getting a young audience that's into like some social media star, right? It's so stupid.
do you say Hunger Games is a good example, because the new one that's coming out, I don't know any of the actors.
No, yeah, no, same. I saw that and I was like, I have no idea who these people are. Yeah.
But I mean, I guess Jennifer Lawrence wasn't really big either at the time. Like before her.
She'd only done like 2 movies at that point.
Yeah.
So for our next headline, Idris Elba is set to star and direct in his own prison thriller film called Infernus. Latin.
Interesting. He's got another. Speaking of Apple TV, he's got that like hijacking show, because I saw it was on my Up Next on Apple TV. There's no trailer for it yet. I don't think, at least, because it's not on Apple TV. But I saw the thumbnail for it. It's called Hijacking. And Idris Elba's like on the cover of it. I think it's about he's on a plane and it gets hijacked, which hence the name Hijacking. But I have no other idea what it's about. I don't know if it's in the same realm of like Gerard Butler's Plane, or if it's like a little bit more serious. But yeah, it looked interesting.
Interesting. Oh, Tilda Swinton's going to be a part of this.
Oh wow.
That's new. Yeah, so he's starring and directing Infernus. While this not be the first time the actor has stepped behind the camera, we are curious to see how he will tackle this one. With the story from Tom Boyle and a screenplay by Robert Mark Kamen. We'll see Elba play Donovan Kamara, a UN human rights activist sent to investigate reports of refugees being illegally detained inside a U.S. black site prison.
Sorry.
That's different than the prison I originally thought of from when he was talking. That's a different vibe.
Interesting.
Next, I should say, lastly, I guess. Okay, let's talk about Oppenheimer real quick.
Let's go.
Let's go.
So Christopher Nolan's an upcoming film tells the tale of the infamous atomic bomb inventor. And now we all know Nolan is not one to shy from practical effects, which is why this headline is going to come as no shocker. It's not the recreating a bomb done already. So Nolan said that the film's extras were well versed in the source material, which was rather easy for them because he had made a point to cast actual scientists as background actors.
Yeah, I saw this headline and there was like context of also what Christopher Nolan said was like usually on a set, and this is like a quote that I saw from whatever he was talking about. He was like, usually actors on set are just sitting around waiting for lunch, and like there was a photo of I'm assuming is like one of the courtroom scenes. Or the deposition, I guess, like the stuff that we see in the trailer with like Robert Downey Jr. And there was like a bunch of extras in the back. And so people on Twitter have been calling out like scientists in the back being like, that guy's definitely thinking about lunch. Like as opposed to like, you know, the state of the world post-nuclear bomb invention, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited to see that. I actually just watched the trailer today just to get myself excited again because it's coming up.
And that new trailer is really good. That new trailer is really, really good.
Albert Einstein's in it, dude.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that the music in the trailer is also music from the movie because it's definitely got what do you call it? Because the composer for
it's Ludwig again, Göransson.
Yeah. He did the music for not Dunkirk.
For Tenet.
For Tenet, yeah, and you definitely can feel the same vibe.
You know what's funny? There was a trailer in front of, I want to say it was in front of Avatar 2, the IMAX exclusive trailer that they've never released, and that trailer kicked ass too, and they've just never put that one online. So the trailers that have been put online are still not that exclusive that was in the IMAX showing, and like that one's even better in my opinion than the most recent trailer, which I think is really, really damn good. But there's an IMAX exclusive trailer that they for whatever reason they haven't released it. But I would love to see that one again, even at home.
Yeah, that one's really good.
It's one of those movies where I'm like, I think I have to see it in like the most expensive way.
Absolutely.
Put an IMAX and like get the right seating, like in the middle.
If I don't feel the heat, it's not right.
No.
We're going to a 4D movie here.
I need to do what they did in the movie, right? They got a bunch of sunscreen on their faces and having the goggles on, watching the explosions go off. That's what I need.
Yeah, I want AMC to like make bunkers for this movie. Like,
yeah.
I'll ask.
B, bring your own bunker.
There you go.
Yeah, that's good.
In the Barbie movie.
Oh yeah, they're competing against each other for like an opening weekend. Yeah.
That's so funny. Just do back to back.
Totally.
Yeah. I'll tear off the suit and then I'll walk in with shorts into the party.
There you go. So that concludes This Week in Hollywood. You can find all of our sources cited in our Discord channel. Now, Isaiah, this is your moment to shine. All right, because usually this is for Lou, but he's not here, so you have to do Big Lou's Big Brews.
It's Big Lou's Big Brews time. All right, guys, I have received a message from beyond the grave.
Oh my God.
I have received a message from the great beyond. There is an afterlife because I'm and no, I did not use a Ouija board. Let's see. So our first drink that has been given to us by Big Lou is the High Karate. Okay. The High Karate. Hi.
Hi.
It comes to us from Cinema Sips for their it's a website that makes a couple of they make drinks for movies. Which is intriguing. Now, he also wanted me to include this fun fact that there is a bar in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, by the name of Mr. Miyagi's Studio City. which if you're ever there, you can visit. And it's a very colorful bar, which I will show a picture in our chat here. But yeah, you can go visit Studio One Hotel Dubai, United Emirates, if you're ever in town.
Nice.
Oh wow, yeah. Look at that. Okay, so what drink are we talking about?
Now the drink, yeah, the high karate. Now here's how you make it. So he wanted me to include as little some parts that came from both the an abbreviation that came from the website and his something that he said. Uh, this is not just a group of one note villains and heroes. They all have complex backstories. None more so than of Daniel Sensei, Mr. Miyagi. As a child watching his movie, Miyagi's tragic past didn't even register to me, but as an adult, my heart breaks for the war hero whose wife and child perished at a Japanese internment camp.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the expert for this drink. This is not just a movie about martial arts. This is a movie about finding the hero within oneself, even when the world may have turned its back on you. My drink this week is an ode to Mr. Miyagi's low-key retro style. I can imagine him sipping a tiki beverage in his Japanese garden, watching Daniel wax on, wax off while watching The Karate Kid. I recommend enjoying this high karate cocktail.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have 2 ounces of aged rum, 1 ounce of lime juice, 1 ounce of orange juice, 1 ounce of pineapple juice, 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, 1 dash of Angostura, don't know how to pronounce that. That's words. Bitters and dried citrus or a Luxardo cherry to garnish. And you mix them all together.
Sounds really sweet.
It does sound very sweet.
It does, yeah.
I think I would like it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds like an Isaiah drink.
My is me kind of drink.
So what do you rate it, Isaiah, out of 5?
Interesting choice to mix maple syrup and rum. But I probably give it like a 3.5 out of 5
Really?
because it also has bitters and pineapple juice. I don't like pineapple juice. That always ruins every drink I've ever had.
Forgot about pineapple juice. Okay, fair enough. What about you, Patrick? What would you on a scale of
I have to like it because there's maple syrup and I'm Canadian, so it's just like in my DNA. So I'll give it a 4, even though I agree I don't like pineapple juice in a drink either.
What if I just had a cup of maple syrup and just dumped some like rum on it?
That sounds delicious.
sounds like a Canadian? Yeah, it sounds like a Canada drink.
Yeah.
Oh, Canada.
I think I'd give it like a 2.5.
Is it because of the maple syrup?
Maybe a 2. No, it's just I don't like super sweet drinks, and this sounds. I'm also not a big rum fan.
Oh, I'm a big rum.
I know you're a big rum fan.
Love me some rum. Love me some Bacardi. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
That is the only drink for today. Yes, the high karate.
Good job. I liked it. Good job, Lewis. Lewis is helping us from the sidelines. He pulled up a bunch of drinks for us. He's like, here you guys go. And we have like all these little notes to read from.
Amazing.
Yes, the notes from the great beyond.
Mm-hmm. So thank you, Lewis, and thank you, Isaiah, for executing that so well.
I'm trying.
Yeah. All right. So we'd like to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's episode, Shaker and Spoon. It is a month subscription service that gives you the bar quality recipes and ingredients designed by award-winning mixologists. Their latest box, New Frontiers 2 American Single Malt, features amazing cocktail recipes for whiskey lovers, which is us. And if you'd like your very own subscription, then you can head over to shakerandspoon.com and use our promo code SIPS10 to get $10 off your first subscription. Again, that is promo code SIPS10, SIPS10 to get $10 off.
Yeehaw.
Right now I'm working off of not Wi-Fi, so it's what is that?
Data.
LTE.
Yeah, cellular data or whatever. So it's
5G?
a little.
You're gonna get corona.
No, dude, I got the worst. I got we're not sponsored by this, so I can shit talk them. I have Xfinity, and it sucks. Anyways, now for today's question of the day, it's a little bit of a tricky question. It's a little bit of a thinker. So I want you guys to take a minute to really think on it before you answer.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Now, who would you say is the real villain in Karate Kid? Because I have an answer.
It's Mr. Miyagi. Duh. No, I was kidding.
I have it.
Who?
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
It's Newark, New Jersey.
No. Bingo. Well, that is not the answer, but I'll take it.
Perfect.
It's better than the actual answer.
What do you think it is, Isaiah?
I'm gonna say it's LaRusso himself. He's his own worst enemy.
Danielson?
Danielson, yes.
Okay. That is correct. Now let me explain why. Okay. This was told to me yesterday, and ever since then, I can't look at this movie the same way. So if you look, I know that Cobra Kai, the show, which I haven't seen personally, but I know that Cobra Kai kind of focuses more on Johnny's perspective of things, which kind of plays into this as well. But if you think about the movie, you have Johnny who drives up to the beach, goes to confront his girlfriend, which he didn't handle that best way. But then this kid he's never met comes up and fucking beats the shit out of him, or tries to at least. So he retaliates. And then I don't know how many days after that, what was it, prom or whatever, high school dance thing.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny's minding his own business in the bathroom stall, and Daniel just pours a whole hose on him in the stall for no reason. He wasn't doing anything to him at that time. I'm just saying, everything was fine and dandy until Daniel showed up.
I do think, I do think Daniel's the asshole of the movie for sure. No, I agree with that.
I don't know if Johnny's the real asshole in this movie.
Once again, Newark, New Jersey is the villain because Daniel's just got all this pent up rage of having to move.
Yeah.
That he's taking it out on all these California kids that are just minding their own business. And then this kid from Jersey shows up and starts beating everybody up.
I'm telling, I think that was the part I enjoyed most about the movie, was just hearing him be like, "It's nothing, Ma. It's fine, Ma." Like, so stereotypical. It was so good.
Can I tell you my thing with this movie is like, because it reminds me of Creed 3, which is like similar in its tone, and it's a fighting movie, right? So they have the tropes and this sort of like they all kind of follow the same formula, right? But what I find is always interesting is that these movies try to be a little bit more than the idea that violence solves everything. But then ultimately that's what it is. Like ultimately by the end, like fighting is the answer, right? It's like we could pretend that maybe we should all just talk and have a conversation. But by the end, it's like, no, we want to see the fight. And it's because they fought. That's why things are okay now, right? And this is like the same example of all the other ones. It's just like, well, maybe, Danny and Allie and all them could have just had a conversation about like, there's some pent up, old stuff between Allie and Johnny. Who knows what's going on? Daniel's upset about the move, but no, they all have to like beat each other, break their legs and stuff to get to a resolution, right?
Yes.
I'm thinking about as like how the thing is, you can't make an anti-war movie because every movie about war ends up becoming a pro-war movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. It's like, oh, we got to make a movie that is like, don't, fighting's not the answer. But then you end up having the fight, and then it turns out to be the answer.
Yeah, it's like fighting was the answer. Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Well, it was a short question, but I just wanted to kind of open your guys' eyes up to that, and the listeners, that Johnny might not be so bad. I mean, he's a dick too, but Daniel might not be so nice of a guy after all.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Isaiah told me yesterday that he had some facts. He said, and I quote, "Holy shit, I've got some wild value," or something like that. So I'm very curious what he's got.
All right. Time for some facts. Now, we got to start with the favorite part of people who were considered to play the role of Daniel LaRusso. All right. Daniel-san. Who could have played Daniel-san? Charlie Sheen.
Oh, okay.
That's a young Charlie Sheen. Yeah.
Young Charlie Sheen. Yeah, we're talking
I'm thinking like druggy Charlie Sheen.
I mean, that's a movie I want to see. Yeah.
Druggy Charlie Sheen learns to fight his addiction.
It's karate, yeah.
I'm gonna karate chop my drug dealer.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr.
Interesting.
Tom Cruise.
Maybe.
I can see that because it's after The Outsiders and stuff. Yeah, that kind of makes sense to me. Yeah, I feel like the entire Outsiders cast is up for this role.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Basically, this is like, once The Outsiders comes, they're like, I got some ideas, guys.
Yeah. River Phoenix, let's go.
Sean Penn.
Okay.
Emilio Estevez. Yeah, obviously.
I don't know if I know who that is.
Emilio
Charlie
Estevez.
Sheen's brother.
Yeah, Charlie Sheen's brother.
Oh. See, I would have never
He took his mom's name. Yeah, he took his mom's name.
I would have never known.
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards,
Mm.
C. Thomas Howell, Eric Stoltz.
Poor Eric Stoltz loses Back to the Future and loses Karate Kid.
Karate Kid.
Like, is there another actor that's like lost two iconic 80s movies like that? You're gonna tell me he was up for Rocky next too?
And our last person, Nicolas Cage.
Nope.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
The bees.
The bees.
The bees.
I mean, there's a few that I could see, but I don't know. There's just something about, the one that they actually did stick with that I just don't know. It's like, it's one of those movies where it's like, you can't see anyone else replacing them.
Ralph makes the movie, in my opinion. Like him and Pat Morita, like the guy that plays Miyagi, like the movie I don't really think works even that well as a movie without them in the cast. Like they're carrying some rough dialogue and script that isn't that fantastic.
Yeah.
Like Daniel walking around being like, "Oh, just don't forget about it, Ma. Like, don't worry about it." Like, oh, like this is like, those scenes don't work without that actor, right? Like that could have been really rough.
Oh yeah.
Nobody at the studio wanted Pat Morita to play Mr. Miyagi because they thought he was too goofy, as he was known as as the comedian from the show Happy Days at the time. So they didn't think he could handle a serious role of being a sensei. The studio had preferred Toshiro Mifune, which, if you don't know, is the like famous legendary Japanese actor that was in Akira Kurosawa movies.
Interesting.
Oh.
A big problem was that he doesn't know how to speak a lot of English, so that would have been a very hard thing to do.
It's interesting too that they wanted such a serious character, but like Mr. Miyagi kind of turned out to be this kind of, not like a goofball, but he's got funny moments, with some of the stuff he says where he's like, he doesn't speak English or whatever, and then he just goes, "Welcome" or whatever, "Thank you."
Yeah, there's an earnestness to his performance that, like, I think tonally it makes sense that he's I don't know if goofy. Yeah, goofy is kind of the right word because he's like quirky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's serious, but he's got a positive and like optimistic kind of lighthearted attitude about it as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, so the studio wanted Mifune because they wanted a more traditional sensei, but the director, John Avildsen, he thought that he and Machio would be a better duo. And once they got them on set together, the chemistry just immediately took off, and they were like, "Yep, all right, this is definitely going to be our duo for this movie."
Oh yeah,
their chemistry is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
During the filming in late 1983, Ralph Macchio was 22. Some of the cast did not believe him when they asked him about his age because, obviously he does not look 22 in this movie.
Wait.
No, he doesn't. I was going to say, he looks like he's 16 or something. Yeah.
Ralph Macchio, the main guy.
He is not 22.
He was 22. And his girlfriend in the movie is 19.
That I can probably get behind, but he looks and sounds like he's like 16.
Yeah. Wait, Elizabeth Shue was 19 in this movie?
Yeah, she was born 1960. I think he was born in 1960.
Yeah, I was gonna say because she looked older. Like I agree. I can buy that she was 19, but he does not look 22. That's wild.
I mean, women tend to age quicker than guys, but like he looks like he hasn't even hit puberty.
No, definitely.
Like he looks so young.
He's got to be what, in his like 50s now or something like that. So probably more.
Easily.
He doesn't look. He literally looks like he's still in his 30s or 40s.
Man, that man does not age.
No. Now, the yellow classic automobile that Daniel polishes in the movie, if during the famous wax on, wax off training scenes, was actually given to Ralph Macchio by the producers, and reportedly he still owns it. And the car happens to be a 1948 Ford Super Deluxe.
Nice.
Wow, that's like an 80-year-old car.
Yes, no seatbelts, no airbags, made of metal, no fiberglass.
That thing was getting auctioned if Cobra Kai didn't happen. Let's just put that out there.
Now, the referee in the final match between John and Daniel, his name is Pat E. Johnson, a karate expert and former student of Chuck Norris.
Wow.
Interesting. That is very interesting because I feel like when I was watching those matches, I felt like it wasn't real karate. But I mean, I don't know karate. But I was just like, I mean, do you guys understand the rules of karate? Or
No.
Not
okay.
It was like UFC rules to me. I don't know what was going on. Yeah.
really.
Like, oh, he got a point. Okay, cool.
Oh, he broke his foot. Nah, I must have got another point.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm pretty sure there was some illegal moves done in some of those matches that were shown though. But you gotta give them what they want.
It did make me wonder, like, was this a thing in the 80s? Like karate matches that people went and watched, or did they sort of invent this for this movie?
A freaking crazy tournament. I've never karate tournament that packed.
And it's funny, like the name of the tournament was so specific too. It was like the Tri-County area under 18 karate tournament.
Yeah.
It's like way over explained.
Yeah. That's true. There was only like 10 people in the bracket. I don't know if you guys saw in the background. It's not like there was a lot of people in the competition.
No, there wasn't. Yeah. Which makes you wonder how this kid from Jersey was just like, yeah, like when Miyagi and they get there, like, yeah, he's black belt. Like, no, they didn't have to check his background, nothing. He could have just walked out of the parking lot, right?
They don't care. I feel like I'm just been like,
this is a street brawl. What's happening?
Yeah, I got 2 black belts.
So Pat E. Johnson is he instructed many of the stars in karate during the movie, and he's credited as the fight instructor choreographer for the film. DC Comics granted Columbia Pictures permission to use the name Karate Kid, as the name Karate Kid is a series of comics that they own, and a character named Karate Kid as part of the Legions of Superheroes. So it's technically a copyrighted name that they needed to get permission to use. The credits of the film contain "Thank you, DC Comics," allowing for the use of the name.
I didn't see that. I didn't. Was it like at the very end?
It was probably at the very end, like during their thank you notes.
Yeah, interesting. I didn't know that.
Now, during production, Columbia Pictures was owned by Coca-Cola at the time, and so they insisted on having all of their products appear on screen, such as the Minute Maid at the breakfast table when Daniel has the black eye and the mom is like, "Hey, sit down," and also just all the sprites in Mr. Miyagi's workshop.
It's actually one of my favorite one-liners in the movie. Was she's like, "Take your glasses off." He's like, "Are you on some?" He's like, "I'm on Minute Maid."
Yeah, I forgot he says that. Yeah, Mom, I'm Minute Maid.
Yeah, Mom, on Minute Maid. It's like such a good quick line. Now I know it's fucking product placement though, so it's not as cool anymore.
Yes. Yeah, hi on Minute Maid Lemonade. What a slogan.
Yeah.
Let me see. Now, Ralph Macchio does not actually have a black belt in real life. Go figure. But nearly does he in the movie. However, he did do his own stunts and basically knows karate over the years of all the movies and TV shows.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I guess
you life skill.
But you don't have the belt to prove it, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, you just steal it from a random bag,
Like watching YouTube videos on like how to do something and then doing it, but not actually being certified to do that thing.
Yeah.
Now, here's the wild fact that I was like, oh my God, this is going to be the name of this episode. Abandoned Karate Kid projects. In a 2022 interview with Collider, William Zabka, Johnny Lawrence, revealed that Pat Morita pitched him an idea in 2005 for a 5th film where Johnny Lawrence, now a doctor, is tasked with caregiving for Mr. Miyagi, who's in the final stages of his life, whose health is failing on him. During the early days of development, Morita had passed away and the project was abandoned, so that never came to fruition. But what a weird movie that would have been.
Yeah. I don't know if that would have done so well, because where would the karate be?
It's just like maybe it's just like a sad like medical drama, right?
Yeah. This is the next episode of Grey's Anatomy.
Totally, yeah.
Now, another project in January of 2022, Ralph Macchio revealed that he had previously been approached in 2012 about a potential Karate Kid Rocky crossover.
Okay.
Intended to be directed by John G. Albertson, who is the director of both movies. The plot would have involved Daniel Russo's daughter and Rocky Balboa Jr. opening a dojo together. That I don't know what the plot is. Macchio stated that he and Milo Ventimiglia were pitched the idea, but described the concept as awful.
That's one way to put it.
After Macchio expressed his disinterest in the story, the project subsequently fell in development hell before being abandoned in favor of Creed and Cobra Kai.
Good choice.
Yeah.
So
They played that right.
What I need is Daniel Russo versus Rocky Balboa. That's what I actually need.
Yes.
But
100%.
but with the ages, because like what you call it, Rocky Balboa was like a boxing champion in his 20s, and Ralph Macchio is like supposed to be playing a 16-year-old. That's the lineup I want. I want the teenager in high school versus the heavyweight champion.
Oh yeah, I want to see two guys that do completely different sports compete against each other.
Well, it'll be a UFC movie, right? It'll just be like all bets are off. We got the boxer, we got the karate. They can just do whatever they want now.
Get them.
Yeah.
That's the role.
Yeah. Well, basically that's what it was. There was no rules in that karate tournament. Let's be honest.
Definitely not.
And those are all the facts for today. So, Rocky Balboa, Karate Kid crossover.
Job well done.
Thank you.
I enjoyed pretty much all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of a single one I didn't find amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so we already kind of talked a little bit about the film. I mean, and like our thoughts on it. But let's really dissect this and our overall kind of rating on this film. So, I mean, I don't know who wants to go first.
I mean, I rewatched it yesterday, and I feel like I probably hadn't seen it since I was a kid. This was a movie that, like, I don't know, I don't feel like it had that like same impact like on myself like it did culturally. Like, I'm aware of all the quotes, and I feel like I've seen it a million times just through being it on TV and growing up as a kid. Like, it came out before I was born, and so it was something I definitely probably caught on VHS, like growing up in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like it wasn't one that like a lot of other movies of this era that I just like threw on all the time. I think I was even more into Rocky as a kid than I was this one. So rewatching it now, I was like I don't know, as like an older adult, like someone who overanalyzes movies now, I kind of saw all the flaws of it for what it is. And I didn't have those like glossy kid eyes anymore of like, this is just cool. I want to learn karate. Like, now I have no interest in learning karate, obviously. So I was like looking at it more of like, wow, they like totally cut a lot of corners on the story here. The editing is sort of all over the place. Like, there's some really rough hard cuts that just like make no sense. There's one that really stuck out for me because he had a black eye, and then like they cut to like they're at that diner, like him and his mom, and like the black eye is like completely gone. From being at the high school like lunch. I was like, what just happened? Did they like just lose 10 minutes of the movie in like a second there? I don't know what happened.
His healing powers are amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say that like it's actually a fairly beautifully shot film, which was like kind of surprising. There's some like really, really nice frames in this movie. Like, the training was really well done, and like there's some really nice like golden hour like sunset stuff that like I was like, holy shit, this is like a really pretty well shot movie. Like, it looks nice, and for an older movie too, that like I'm imagining didn't have a huge budget even for the time, I think they did a good job. Like, there's no glaring real production issues aside from like some continuity, and you could tell they like were really piecing things together in the edit. I think it's far too long. Yeah. There's a lot of this movie that drags, and I was definitely on my phone for a lot too, where I was just like, I'm totally checked out right now. But overall, it's cute, and it's got like, it's funny, and it's, you know, there's good moments. And like I said earlier, like the cast is really what carries this movie. Oh, yeah. And it's cool seeing like young Elizabeth Shue, and like she had so much charisma on screen. Like, she's amazing in this movie. I wish she was in it more, to be honest. I think there could have been a better arc with Daniel's character with Elizabeth to like just redeem her a little bit more as like a person through all of that. But like, because like we talked about, like Daniel's just sort of a dick throughout the entire movie, and there's not really much of an arc for his character either to becoming like a better person, right? And it's more just like about the fight. And it's more about them fighting and whatnot and all that stuff. But yeah, you got to suspend your disbelief in this movie because a whole lot of it doesn't really make sense. But otherwise, like it's a fun, kitschy, cute 80s movie that like I understand why everyone has a soft spot for it, for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, it is one of those like just classic movies where it's like, yeah, it's, you know, it's got its flaws, but you can appreciate it.
Totally.
For what it is.
It's funny. Yeah. I had a note that said it was aggressively 80s.
Definitely. Really good needle drops too. Like, good needle drops throughout the movie. There was that Cruel Summer song that like played when he like first goes to school, and it like plays for a good like 5 minutes, starts to become like part of the score. And I was like, this is cool. Like, I love stuff like that where it's like, you know, good music choices. Bill Conti, who scored Rocky, like came up with the Rocky theme, did the music for this movie too. So like the score is pretty phenomenal. I don't think it has as memorable of notes as like, if I think I've ever heard the score in isolation, I wouldn't be like, oh, that's Karate Kid, but it sounded good in context with the movie. That's for sure.
What would you rate it like on a scale of 1 to 5?
1 to 5. I'm going to give it like a 3. Yeah. Maybe even 2.5. 2.5. Yeah, I'm going to give it 2.5. Yeah. I was really bored. I was like, I think I was as a kid, I really liked it a lot more. But I don't have like a glowing, glaring good memory of it. Like, I was like, this is cool. Because remember, like around that time, like there was this movie. There was also Three Ninjas that came out in the '90s too. If you remember that one, there's like just like a karate theme with kids throughout the late '80s and into the '90s, where everyone just like Power Rangers, all of that was part of it, right? Like everyone wanted to learn some sort of martial arts, and I went to karate as a kid and all that stuff. But like the movie itself, I don't know, for some reason I should, because it's like the young male who wants to learn karate and he's got like a sense of humor and he's charismatic and witty. It's like, I want to be this type of guy, right? Or whatever. Not an asshole like him, of course, but like there was like a reason I should have liked this a lot more as a kid, but for some reason I didn't. And I think even as an adult, there's something about it doesn't really resonate personally, and I can't quite figure out why. Like I was more invested when the Newark, New Jersey thing came out the front. I was like, oh yeah, nice, another like a movie in Jersey, let's go. And it's like they're gone in the first. It's like 30 seconds later they're in California, right? And I'm just, I don't know. I'm not big on California-based movies as a whole, aside from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which we talked about earlier before the episode. Because I just love that movie. But there's something about this is I can't click into it for some reason. I can't quite pinpoint why either.
And I guess I can respect that answer.
2.5. That's what I'm going with. 2.5.
2.5 out of 5.
What about you, Isaiah?
As I said before, the movie's aggressively 80s. It like I had to think about it in the context of the 80s. It's a good movie. There's a few points that I'm like the same. I'm like, wow, this is kind of dragging on, or this is just kind of extra. We didn't need this. Some of the plot lines and arcs don't make much sense sometimes because of like that whole arc with the girl. What is there? Allie? Yeah, Allie's parents being like, oh, he's from Rosita. Like we don't mess with people from Rosita. They're poor. That plot line kind of just fizzled out. Never really talked about it other than those two like scenes. The whole thing about Allie getting pissed off at Daniel for disappearing or running away after the whole Johnny tried to like kiss her.
Yeah, what was that?
That was
so strange.
It was so strange and out of place because like
who?
Yeah, like why would you get mad at him? He ran away, didn't see the slap part, so for all he knows, you were kissing him, so there's not really like anything there. Doesn't make any sense. And then immediately he goes, "Oh, hey, slugger," and then he immediately like smooths it over and like a whiplash of that plot line is done.
Yeah,
like,
that was weird.
With one line, I was like, "Oh, okay." And then it's all handy donkey dory, and now they're girlfriend and boyfriend. She's going to the tournament with him. Woo-hoo. So it definitely felt like a lot of story beats were cut out in the editing room, or they didn't film at all, which kind of detracted a bit from it. And then for some reason, Daniel is just super smooth. Like he's the most charismatic, smoothest player of a person ever in high school ever.
Yeah.
He really is.
It was just so off funny because usually like every high school movie I think I've seen except for this one has always been like all the kids in high school are like awkward, quirky, don't really talk to anybody, they're loners, or if they are popular, they're not smooth or anything like that. But it was just weird. He had such a charismatic vibe that was not for a high school. It's definitely for like an adult.
That's a really good point. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like he was like too Andrew Garfield, Peter Parker for the character to work perfectly. You know what I mean? Like he was too cool. He was too attractive. He was too like on the ball. He had all the one-liners in the world that you'd be like, all the kids at this high school be like, this guy's a movie star. He's the new, like, he's the head of our gang now, right? Like I didn't really understand how they could pick on him because he was like so well put off. You know what I mean? Like he was just presenting himself so easily that it was hard to be, he's the underdog, right? Which I think, from my understanding, that's what Cobra Kai's sort of retconned, right? Like Cobra Kai sort of flipped it around to Johnny's perspective, I think for that reason, because I feel like the movie kind of missed that tone.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's kind of what they aimed at, is like to focus more on other parts of the story and not just his, because he's kind of like one of those unflawed characters.
His only flaw is that he's from New York, New Jersey.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And like he was like, he was displaced from his home. He's now in California, and like he's kind of bitter with his mom about it, which is like easy character writing. But he had a good head on his shoulders to figure that out. That it was hard to buy into him being the underdog. That's like, why does he have to have this fight? He seems smart enough to not have to deal with it, essentially, right?
Yeah. And then my last note was that Bobby, the friend from the tournament, who's like, yeah, Johnny, yeah, like he was so into it. He was so sadistic because every time it cut to like the sensei, he would be in the background, and that guy was having the most insane expressions possible, and it was
Dude,
That's such an
love
80s thing. Yeah. That's such an 80s thing. Yeah.
I was pointing him out too. I was like, look at this guy. Is he really committed to his character?
Yeah.
They're like, we need you. Like, you're rooting for him. He's like, okay. And they're like, but make it like a level 10. And he just went for it.
But yeah, so I give it like a 4 out of 5 because I think this movie is solid except for those few issues. Yeah, then again, for like it's a movie from its time from the 80s, it kind of just based on a lot of other. My parents grew up in the 80s, so they showed me like every single John Hughes movie, all the 80s movies and stuff like that. So it kind of fits that era of like what they did, what they were learning, what they were doing, and stuff like that. So I can't like knock points for them not understanding certain things that we've now eventually evolved to understand. But also, it is what it is. So I think it's a good movie. So it's just 4 out of 5 for me.
Nice.
That's good. That is that's also what I rate. Well, actually, I rated it originally a 4.5, but then after hearing you guys, I put it down to a 4. It was literally all right. You won the competition. You needed to see it.
And Mr. Miyagi was so proud. He smiles. Cut the credits.
Done.
Yeah, basically.
In and out.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the movie is like really efficient storytelling, and then some of it really drags for no reason. That's what I found kind of interesting about it. Like there could have been a whole preamp of him being in Jersey, and like that's what his life is like was like there, and he was the jock, he was the king of it, and like that's why he is the way he is. There could have been a whole of that, but they just like they literally start with a Newark, New Jersey title, and it's the car driving away, and we're in California. Like that's really efficient storytelling because it does do a lot of heavy lifting. But then some other things are just like so much exposition and so much long dialogue and scenes where you're just like, wow, it's dragging a little bit here through the middle, right? And then it gets super efficient at the end. We're just like, okay, we're out. They won. See ya.
Juxtaposition for me, at least, you know. I think that the parallels between, Miyagi's coaching and I forget the Cobra Kai sensei's name, but not even obvious. I mean, there are obvious ways, there are obvious differences, with the way that they teach, but also like there's a subtle thing that I noticed where there's a scene where you're in Cobra Kai's dojo and the camera just kind of dollies past the sensei's like plaques from when he was in the army and stuff. And, it shows that he's very proud of it and he flaunts it. And he's kind of cocky about it. And then you parallel that to Mr. Miyagi's, valor badge or pin or whatever. He's has it hidden in a box, put away. He doesn't like brag about it. Like it's subtle like that. Like, damn, that's good storytelling. Because I never,
Totally.
I mean, if I had watched that, if it didn't occur to me then, it probably would have never occurred to me. I just happened to make that connection. I was like, oh, wow, I got to write that down because I don't know how many people, put that together. But yeah, like it's just subtle things like that. And then, I mean, obviously the soundtrack is iconic. I think every movie during that time was pretty cheesy, just with the like quippy one-liners and stuff. But I mean, there's movies like that now too. I remember one of the scenes that I remember being so different was the crane kick scene. I remember it being so much longer and like dragged. I could be remembering the Jackie Chan one, and I might be mixing them up because I remember like the Karate Kid, like deep breathing, and it was all like slow-mo and like epic. And this was just like, oh, let me just hop and do this kick, and it was over in like 2 seconds. And I remember just watching. I was like, wait, that's it? That's it? I don't remember it happening.
So there's like a Mandela effect with that too. I definitely remember it being like this really drawn out sort of thing. Yeah. And I've definitely seen the Jackie Chan one, but I don't even really recall much of that movie either. But in my head memory is that sequence, with Ralph, with Daniel, really, really slowed down, and it's an epic moment. It's like the whole thing sort of like crescendos to that. But yeah, no, it's super, super fast in the real version of it.
Yeah.
I feel like my brain couldn't comprehend that because if I think about it in slow motion, it's in like choppy 30 frame, not even 30.
It's like old school film slow motion. Yeah.
frames per second.
Yeah.
Everything is super blurry.
You know what's funny is like they do that for a second when they introduce Allie, like Elizabeth Shue's character. There is like a moment where it just slows down a little bit and there's like a fade transition just to like make you sure that you know the audience, like this is the romantic interest for Daniel. Like they couldn't help themselves. They had to do that little bit of like romanticizing of her character, which I thought was so 80s. I also found like speaking of the other like Cobra Kai, like for some reason I know it wasn't the intention, but I always found all those scenes like humorous. Because for me, I kept thinking of Rex Kwon Do from Napoleon Dynamite. Like that's the whole vibe of that whole scene and that character. Like I'm actually on IMDb right now. I think the leader's name was Martin, like, which is such a funny name for the head of the karate Cobra Kai. Guys, it's just Martin. Just like Martin runs it, Martin. But yeah, like all of that reminded me of Rex Kwon Do. So like every time I was trying to take them seriously as like a threatening force against like Miyagi and Ralph, I was just like, they're kind of just like, this is hilarious. Like, why are they taking this shit so seriously? Why? Like, he's a karate instructor in California. Like, he's got to chill.
Oh man, there was also just one little story I wanted to share too. So I have a nephew who's about 10 years old now, and he does Taekwondo. And just recently he had a competition, his first ever competition. And it was, it's a kid's competition. So it's a pretty big turnout because all the parents go and the family and everything. And so he decides, now keep in mind, my nephew, I love him to death, but he is a little cocky for his age.
Uh-oh.
He's very like, I'm the shit. I don't know why he's like that, but he is. So he goes into his first competition and he starts off by hopping on one leg and trying to do the fucking crane kick because he saw it in Karate Kid and he's like, this is how I win the competition.
So he's got to come with a warning. Please do not try this at home. Yeah.
My brother sent me the video of him competing and stuff. I was like, is he trying to do the Karate Kid move? I was like, his leg needs to be like broken for that. But yeah, I had to share that just because it's so funny. Because it's like, I don't even know if he's seen the movie, but he knows about that, So it's like, it just has that, it
has such impact. Cultural impact. Yeah, that's crazy. And I don't even think that comes from the 2007 version. I think that's just like ingrained in the psyche of North America or even the world. Sweep the leg is just like a phrase, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Baby just is born already like crane kicking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've evolved as a society, as like the human race. We've evolved to just know that now.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's pretty much all I had written down. And then of course we touched on it. I touched on it a little more too earlier in the episode, kind of my overall thoughts. But yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's a fine movie. I wouldn't complain if it was on, but I'm not ready to go watch it again.
Yeah, I think it's like actually like even though my rating of it was low because I was looking at it a little critically, but like it's a decent like vibe movie too. Like it's just one of like it was a fine movie to have your phone out. It was a fine movie to just like have in the background. Like I wish if cable was still around, like if it was on, I would have no issue like leaving it on to catch moments. Right? Like I think there's like a lot of fun moments in this movie that are worth revisiting and rewatching.
Oh yeah, I agree. One of those like comfort movies, like how I watch, like I'll put The Office on in the background because it's like I've seen this before, but I want that to those moments, and it's like that's kind of what the Karate Kid gives me too when I want to, kind of a thing.
So I have an interesting thing just because I'm on the IMDb while we've been talking, but I know this is part of like the facts and stuff. But so the writer, Robert Mark Kamen, also wrote The Fifth Element and Taken. Isn't that crazy? Is that wild? What a range, right?
Yeah. All right, that's Isaiah. Wild. He's got one of your facts down for today's coming for your job.
I like The Fifth Element. It's a good movie.
Mm.
If nobody's ever realized, in The Fifth Element, Bruce Willis, who's the hero of the movie, and Gary Oldman, who plays the villain, there's never an actual scene where they meet.
Interesting.
The only scene they actually ever come close to is towards the end where one gets in an elevator and the other one comes out, but they never actually interact. It's just them barely missing each other. It's the only time they ever come close in the movie.
That was like for a really long time, there was a rumor that De Niro and Pacino were never actually together on Heat. Because if you watch the infamous diner scene, there's never a wide shot of them together in that sequence. And it was just like, it was just the editing. They only did the 2-shot, and like Michael Mann has addressed it. He's just like, no, we didn't need the wide. Like we got one. We just never needed it, but no one's ever really seen it. It was just funny.
Did you guys have anything else you want to add before I sign us off?
No, but I'm actually kind of curious to watch Cobra Kai now. So if there's one overwhelming positive thing that came out of this, is I'm more intrigued in the lore of Karate Kid and where it went. Yeah.
Welcome everyone to season 10, and thank you for joining us. Thank you also, Patrick, for joining us for season 10 and for the Karate Kid.
My pleasure.
Do you want to take a second to just kind of tell the listeners where they can find?
Yeah, you can find me pretty much everywhere if you just search my name, Patrick Tomasso, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Twitter's where I'm the most active. We can have a conversation there. And then if you want to see my face, you can go on YouTube. Same name, Patrick Tomasso. Thank you.
Yes.
Face reveal? Face reveal.
Definitely go follow him and subscribe to him on YouTube, and check out his Instagram too. I've been a follower for a while, so I can verify that his content is good.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's Beth's stamp of approval. Also, be sure to follow us on our Instagram too, so you can share us with your fans or friends and your friends and family, and get the latest updates on the podcast. And you can also email us with any movie suggestions for films you'd like us to watch and review at silverscreensips@gmail.com. And we will see you in next week's episode with Karate Kid Part 2.
Good luck.
Yeah. Thanks.